I'm a native Nebraskan. Lived here all my life, mostly in rural parts of the state. So when you come across something called, you know you're from rural Nebraska if, I tend to take notice. And you've probably seen it on the internet, different ones, and so I decided to share with you some of my favorites. You know you're from rural Nebraska if you're related to more than half the town. There's a tornado warning and the whole town is outside watching the tornado. The Husker quarterback is hurt and you're hoping that it's first thing on the 5 o'clock news, and it is! You're on a first name basis with the county sheriff. For good reasons, You know you're from rural Nebraska if Little Smokies are something served only for special occasions. Your mayor is also the doctor, barber, or insurance agent. And as I was teasing Kent, the lake Nazi, he's going to make sure that there's no one swimming in the Lake Terry out there. You listen to the weather forecast before dressing for the day. I do that. You call the wrong number by mistake and talk to the person for an hour anyway. You know cow pies are not made of beef. I hope you know that. Football schedules are checked before wedding dates are set. That is so true. You can eat an ear of corn with no utensils in less than 20 seconds. It takes 3 minutes to reach your destination, and it's all the way across town. You call lunch dinner and dinner supper. You don't think driving on gravel roads is unusual. If you hope to get a new snowblower for Christmas. You instinctively wave to the other driver when you meet a car on the road. One finger. The topic of weather usually comes up in all conversations. You know the difference between the Red Sea and the Sea of Red. When it rains, everybody's smiling. You've never met a celebrity. Raise your hand, you never met a celebrity. Oh, just a few. Wow, we got a lot of famous people here. Your idea of a traffic jam is 10 cars waiting to pass a tractor on the highway. And that's going to be put to the test next week with the eclipse visitors. You measure distance in minutes. You know several people who have hit a deer. You've ever had to switch from heat to air conditioning in the same day. You can locate Nebraska on the map. You install security lights on your house and garage, but leave both unlocked. You carry jumper cables in your car. You drink pop. You know what cow tipping is. And you know you're from rural Nebraska if you know what a runza is. Never underestimate the power of living in a rural community. Today we travel a little farther on the journey of life, something that we're calling this summer the Route 66. This is a summer sermon series where we've been following several journeys. For those of you that are guests here today, the first journey is a guy by the name of Thomas Hall. He's a United Methodist pastor who I met one summer as he was riding his recumbent bike from Montana down to Texas. Now the titles for each of these sermons in this series is based on his blog entries. Now the last time that I preached to you, you know that Thomas got as far as McCook. And it was a brutal ride. He even decided to take a day off just to recuperate. Today, the ride is a bit more pleasant. In fact, he just calls it going to Oberlin. I grew up in rural small-town America. Spent summers in Pa and Ma's farm in Minnesota. When I traveled Route 83, I reversed the years to a time when I still had a mom and dad and scrappy siblings that bumbled and tumbled through each day with me like whelps in search of misadventures. Route 83 reminds me that once life was simpler and stress was a word that hadn't been invented. The run from McCook to Oberlin is magnificent. Cornfields stretch past the height of my waist. It's a Saturday. Few drivers are on the road today. An occasional car approaches, but I hear it a full 45 seconds before it passes me. The whine of its hot tires gives me a heads up. The roads are worn and grooved, straight to and flat. On this particular day, I crossed the state line from Nebraska to Kansas. No big deal for most people, but for me, just getting across that line means that I've come closer to my ultimate goal of reaching the U.S.-Mexican border. So crossing state lines are a special photo op for me. I'd been silent for some time, just pondering, I guess, when a voice directly behind me scared the bejeebers out of me. "Hi! Nice day for riding, isn't it? Does that thing ride well?" I quickly looked back to see a thin man about my age in classic Lyra spandex clothes pull alongside me. He was curious about the recumbent, so we pedaled and talked back and forth going up a hill. "You're riding from Missoula to Del Rio? Why?" I talked about Hope Village and the fact that 10 million kids in South Africa are alone who need parents, who need a chance that most kids take for granted. "I'm a priest, Father Gary, and I've been trying to get something going over there too, Nigeria. I'd like our congregation to partner in getting some clean water for some of the villages." So even in small town USA, two guys riding bikes from the state had more in common than they realized. We talked a while longer, and then he headed on his way and I on mine. Eventually I arrived in Oberlin, Kansas, the home of Oz, maybe, a sort of Mayberry of the Midwest. It's good to be home again. If you remember the last sermon, this vlog is very different. He feels at home. It's a pleasant trip for him. A time for a milestone photo. He makes a connection. He meets a new friend, a partner in ministry. Two people that want to make a difference. There's a wonderful story that comes from the communication department of our denomination. Let me just share with you as they write it. She couldn't bear looking in a mirror. The reflected image was a constant reminder that she was not like other teenagers, and she understood why some people avoided her. Her face was severely disfigured, so Donna Bella Aguacero spent much of her childhood in the Philippines watching life from the sidelines. That would change the day a crew from the United Methodist Communications traveled to Donna's town to videotape for the 50th anniversary of the events. In scanning the crowd, the videographer Ronnie Perry's camera captured a scant second of Donna. Haunted by the image, Perry spent hours on the internet trying to find someone who might help the young woman. Finally, he located Dennis Nigro, a plastic surgeon who founded Fresh Start, an Encinitas, California-based nonprofit organization that helps persons with facial deformities who cannot afford surgery. From that point on, Fred Rouse, a UM-Com producer, Bishop Daniel C. Arichia of the Philippines, and Perry went to work. Bishop Arichia made arrangements in the Philippines. Rouse secured free airline tickets from the Philippine Airlines. San Diego area church members provided transportation, food, lodging, and emotional and spiritual support for Donna and her guardian, Estelieta. They arrived in Encinitas for a series of major surgeries. 2 years later, Donna has a normal appearance, and she is so grateful to the United Methodist Church, she has responded to her call to enter the ministry. Never underestimate the power of the church and its community. This sermon series has been so much fun because Thomas's journey kind of mirrors our own. And I'm not talking about a literal bike ride across the country, although some people do take that. I'm talking about his experience, about how he grows with each stop, about each encounter. Even those unforeseen events, it matures him. Doesn't that mirror our own life journey? From beginning to end, we meet some interesting characters, and we hope to grow with each stop. Sometimes the journey can be brutal, and others, it feels like, gosh, we just arrived at home. Today's journey for Thomas is more than just a home feeling. He meets a companion who's just as passionate, just as compassionate about the world as he. And he meets someone who is ready to make a difference. Douglas Maurer is 15. He lives in a suburb of St. Louis, and he'd been feeling bad for days. His temperature was ranging from 103 to 105, and he had these flu-like symptoms. And finally, his mom takes him to the hospital, and he's diagnosed with leukemia. The doctors tell him that he's got 3 years of chemotherapy, and they do not sugarcoat the side effects. He's going to get bald, his body's going to bloat up, and learning all of this, he goes into deep depression. His aunt calls up a floral shop to order some flowers, and she tells the person taking the order that her nephew just was diagnosed with leukemia. The flowers arrive at his home. They're beautiful. He reads the reads the card from his aunt, and then there's a second card. And the second card goes like this. Douglas, I took your order. I work at the flower shop. I had leukemia when I was 7. I'm 22 years old now. Good luck. My heart goes out to you. Sincerely, Laura Bradley. And for the first time, Douglas Maurer's face lit up. So what I love about these travels in Route 66 of life, wherever we go, we find partners, friends, neighbors, co-workers who are willing to step up and be the people that God wants us to be. The Apostle Paul also experienced this. In our journey this summer, we're not only following the travels of Thomas or about self-discovery, but we're also learning about how God interacted with the people just after the death of Jesus and built a church based on mutual experience, on love, on the desire to make a difference, and on a passion to be the difference. So right now we're going to hear a passage from the book of Acts.
This is Acts 16:35 through 17:9. When morning came, the magistrate sent the police, saying, "Let those men go." And the jailer reported the message to Paul, saying, "The magistrate sent word to let you go. Therefore, come out now and go in peace." But Paul replied, "They have beaten us in public, uncondemned, men who are Roman citizens, and have thrown us into prison, and now they're going to go discharging us in secret? Certainly not. Let them come and take us out themselves." The police reported these words to the magistrates, and they were afraid when they heard that they were Roman citizens. So they came and apologized to them and took them out and asked them to leave the city. After leaving the prison, they went to Lydia's home, and when they had seen and encouraged the brothers and sisters there, they departed. After Paul and Silas had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonia, they came to Thessalonica, where there was a synagogue for the Jews. And Paul went in, as was his custom, and on 3 Sabbath days arguing with them from the Scriptures, explaining and providing that it was necessary for the Messiah to suffer and to rise from the dead, and saying, "This is the Messiah, Jesus, whom I am proclaiming to you." Some of them were persuaded and joined Paul and Silas, as did a great many of the devout Greeks, and not a few of the leading women. But the Jews became jealous, and with the help of some ruffians in the marketplaces, they formed a mob and set the city in an uproar. While they were searching for Paul and Silas to bring them out to the assembly, they attacked Jason's house. When they could not find them, they dragged Jason and some believers before the city authorities, shouting, "These people who have been turning the world upside down have come here also, and Jason has entertained them as guests. They are all acting contrary to the decrees of the emperor, saying that there is another king named Jesus." The people and the city officials were disturbed when they heard this, and after they had taken bail from Jason and the others, they let them go. The Lord bless the word.
The scripture sounds a lot like the one that I preached on here a couple weeks ago. If you heard it, the title was Brutal, and it was. In our journey on the Route 66 of life, we do have some brutal days. Some moments that just take the wind out of us. Hard times where we want to cry, but we don't because nobody knows our pain. We have those events where we just want to dig a hole and get out of whatever we're dealing with. And friends, I'm here to tell you that when this happens, you are not alone. When all seems hopeless, there is a shoulder to cry on. When future plans change dramatically and you don't know what's going to happen, there is someone to talk to. When you're like Jason, standing on your beliefs while running for your life, there is prayer, there is the Holy Spirit, and there is people of like-mindedness, understanding. This is who we are. This is what makes us feel at home. Even if we're just going to Oberlin, home is a place in the community that we call the church. We're going to watch a video that kind of shows that.
Sherry and Alan have been in our journey group for about 4 years.
We came over to visit Alan and Sherry one day and realized that their house was in really disarray.
I used to get made fun of, like on the bus and stuff. They usually called me cockroach or just made fun of my house and me being in it.
The more we looked at it, the structure of the house was just falling apart. So we decided as a journey group that we would get together and build them a house. But we had to do something in the meantime to make their house safe enough for them to live in. So the following community makeover, we set out to redo the beam and the floor system underneath, gutted the bathroom and the hallway and redid the floor system in there and rerouted all the electrical wiring in there and just made the house safe.
Shortly after that, in September, the floods came and washed away not only all the work we'd done, but just the foundation of the house.
It was rough on us all, just to watch the house go down.
I lost practically almost everything in my room except some of my clothes.
So we got a few things out, and eventually we had to move out of there.
About the time that we had started getting material and all here at the job site, and people were stealing stuff. So Alan and Sherry decided that they were just going to live here on the property, and they lived here in a tent for about 2 weeks, and someone donated like a 70s motorhome.
It makes it rough because my work's low, cutting my hours, my wife ain't working, and it's just rough, doing it day by day. That's what we're living by, really, day by day.
I've been back and forth to a lot of houses. It's been pretty stressful because, not living with my parents, not getting them to wake me up for school and stuff, it's been pretty hard.
Us as a group have got together. We have had a fish fry out here on the property, sold tickets for that to raise money for donations. The women in the journey group had a bake sale on the same day.
I went out and asked a lot of the different companies that I've done work with over the years to make donations.
Went out there and carried lumber and shingles and picked up trash.
Labor has just been overwhelming. We've had all the help that we could to build this house.
We just kind of hit up the food where there's 30 or 40 people out there volunteering. They're doing breakfasts and lunches and dinners and snacks that we had to coordinate for days for the volunteers out there.
It's just been a process that has brought us closer and more intimate in our relationship with each other, as well as our relationship with God.
This has been going on for 14 months. We've been trying to build this house. So it's a long, long process.
I look forward to having my own room and being able to have my friends over and having somewhere to put my clothes instead of a bag. It's just been really nice to have people helping out.
Everything that you see is just a blessing that God, provided for this family, and we were just, fortunate enough to be a part of it.
But for me, the biggest thing has been the emotional support, knowing that somebody cares enough to come and work like that. That makes all the difference in the world.
Last month, I attended annual conference in Grand Island. I actually got to stay in the state of Nebraska this time. I've attended the conference a lot over the years, first as a youth, and then as a young adult, and now as a pastor. And over the years, I've developed a really good group of friends, close colleagues that I've learned to trust, and people that are people that I've been able to count on. Now, that's quite different than many of you, and I learned this that in the 3 years that I was out of the professional ministry. When I was in the financial industry, I got to see my coworkers every day. Now, some of you think, well, that's not a big deal, but when you are a pastor in western Nebraska, there are sometimes I only see my coworkers twice a year, so it makes things very interesting. And that's why annual conference is so special. It's a great time to reconnect, and I get to use these events to share, to listen, learn about their family, maybe offer some advice. And this year, something very special happened. This close group of friends, I had a friend of mine that was having a very difficult time. He had some plans in his church that were not materializing. Now, not everyone in the conference knew about what was going on to him, but we did. And we listened. We offered our 2 cents worth when asked, and we prayed for him. In our journey in the Route 66 of life, we meet some people that are become partners, friends, neighbors, co-workers, who are ready to make a difference with us. I invite you here in a couple weeks to join with one of our Sunday school classes where we form community that makes a difference. I invite with you to join me to Oberlin so that you can feel at home and know that someone is listening, someone does care, and someone else is out there making a difference with you. Amen. This time we ask our ushers to wait upon us as we give back to God.